Oh my god. We have made it to week 3. It's happening, guys. Alright, and now that means that it is time to make another pick'em. This has been going great so far. 20 and 12. We're doing great. 90th percentile. Mainly because we went 11 and 5 in week 2. Got a lot of close games right. Sadly, there were some overtime games that got away from me. Washington, Denver, that was just unlucky. And if Nick Chubb doesn't get injured, we probably win another one. But despite the some bad decisions, some, games are just going to get away from you. But 11 and 5 is about as good as you can get on a week that was as crazy as week 2 was. So let's get started. First up, we got the Giants at the 49ers, and this is as clear-cut of a game as it gets. It's not even going to be close, okay? This team struggled mightily against Arizona. It was insane. That was another game that could have gotten away from me there, but thankfully, Jonathan Gannon knew that you have to conserve the tank, and you got to keep it going. As for the 49ers, close one against the Rams. The Rams look like a dangerous, feisty team, and we'll get to talk about them later. But this is definitely going to be another easy blowout win like they had against Pittsburgh. This game shouldn't even be close on any level. If the Giants pull it off, it would. I can see it just because Brian Daboll is such a force, but it's extremely unlikely. This should be a blowout. Titans-Browns. This is a tough game to predict. However, I'm pretty confident that the Browns should win this game. It's tough, right? Losing Nick Chubb. He is out for the year, and he could possibly be out more. That looked like a career-ending injury if you just haven't seen it. It was horrible. As for the Titans, they pulled off an incredible upset against the Chargers in overtime. It was insane. But how much credit do you want to give them? Ryan Tannehill looked absolutely horrible against the Saints defense. This Browns defense doesn't get any easier. And I get what they were able to do against the LA Chargers, but the Chargers, the thing is, the Chargers are a Brandon Staley defense. He is on the hot seat, and again, he's on the hot seat. We're going to talk about him later. The conversation on these 0-2 teams is going to be very interesting. But this game's also interesting, but I just think the Browns' defense is going to be too much. Just like the Saints' defense was in Week 1, I think the Browns' defense is going to be way, 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 way too much. This defense is insane, and it's going to carry the Browns to victory. I would expect a pretty low-scoring game here. Falcons at Lions. This is another one that I struggled with. I'm still going to go Detroit. I just don't think this Falcons team is ready for real contention, as great as 2-0 might seem. The thing is, there's other 2-0 teams in the league. The Saints, who are literally just coming up right now. But this team isn't ready. This team isn't there yet. And Detroit, they're more in playoff contention than Atlanta is. I think this will be a pretty high-scoring game. Detroit's defense isn't all that great. And Atlanta's defense isn't great either. Thing is, though, my biggest thing, my worry about Atlanta is that their offense is just too one-dimensional. If you can stop the run, you stop them. Desmond Ridder isn't a good quarterback. It's just not going to work. So, I think that if Detroit can score a lot of points and get Atlanta behind, Atlanta's just not a team built to come from behind. Despite the fact that they did do it against Green Bay. But, surprisingly, their style of football actually worked well for them because they were able to get the stops against Green Bay. I don't think they'll be able to get the stops against Detroit. And I don't think they're going to be able to possess the ball as much in this game. So I'm going to have Detroit winning. Saints at Packers. Now, ironically, me talking bad about Green Bay, I'm going to have them winning here. This Saints offense, again, another, like, it's not one-dimensional, but it's definitely inconsistent. Oh, well, it is kind of one-dimensional now. Jamal Williams is hurt. And, Kamara, I'm pretty sure, is suspended right now. They're going to have no run game for a while. And Green Bay just, the Saints haven't played any, like, real competition, As much as I liked Carolina to start the year, right now they're not looking too good. And as for the Titans, that was a putrid game for the Titans and their offense. And the Saints offense didn't necessarily look good either in both games. Despite the fact the Packers have Joe Barry as a defensive coordinator, I think they should pull this one out. I think that offensively they're just more consistent than the Saints, so they should be able to pull this one through. Now, Broncos at Dolphins, this is an easy one. This is the Dolphins game. I mean, the Broncos just look awful. I don't think that the score is going to be too far apart, but I don't, because, the Broncos do have a pretty good offense, but their defense has been struggling. I mean, they're allowing a lot of points. It's tough. And the thing is, this doesn't get any easier when you're playing the Miami Dolphins offense. I mean, it's just super explosive. So, I think, but Russ has been looking better, and Washington's defense it's weird, but the Broncos were able to perform, despite the fact that they choked an 18-point lead. But, at least on offense they were able to perform. On defense, it was a lot more questionable. They also got a pretty lucky Hail Mary at the end, but it doesn't all work out, I mean, they should have taken that game to overtime, but it doesn't work like that. The refs are going to miss things. But I still don't think the Broncos are a good team, because I don't think the Commies and Raiders are good teams either. So the Dolphins should crush the Broncos pretty handily. And this is the game that, I mean, I still struggle to predict this even now. This is a flip-flopper. There's no right answer, because this is the game that, honestly, this is probably game of the week. Chargers, Vikings. My God. A choke bowl of the century. We got a classic right here. I mean, this game is going to be... It's going to be all firepower. Because it's just two bad defenses, each in their own way, Chargers kind of have the personnel, but Brandon Staley's their head coach. And the Vikings, they don't have the personnel. They don't have anything, any personnel to compete. So it's just a weird matchup. Two quarterbacks, two really productive offenses. I mean, wow, this game is going to be so close, down right to the wire. I mean, it's going to be wild. I have the Chargers pulling it out, and the thing that, puts them over the edge, I mean, Brandon Staley isn't a good head coach, and I 100% get that. And normally the Vikings should be able to pull this game out, but I'm leaning Chargers right now because I have a feeling that Brandon Staley's going to look at this game like he looked at the Miami game, and he's going to think, if I lose this, my head coaching job is gone. It's over, right? Because he probably gets fired if they lose this game tomorrow. And he does have the potential to call really good defense. Last year when they played Miami, they shut the offense down. It was brutal, and they won. So I believe in this team. I really not that I do for the future. I don't think they're going anywhere with Brandon Staley, but for right now, I'm gonna take the Chargers to win. But man, the fact that one of these two teams has to start 0-3 is brutal. Still though, normally I would say the Vikings should take this one, but I'm leaning Chargers. It's just, you see how you just flip flop on this game? It's incredible. All right, Patriots, Jets. This, despite the percentages that it shows here, I don't think that they reflect anything, dude. The Patriots, they just own Zach Wilson. Okay, like they have his number, and I get that the Jets defense is really really good. This is gonna be another like really low scoring game, but it's Zach Wilson, and the Patriots defense is like pretty much just as good as the Jets defense. Like, it's insane. And I think Mac Jones, without Matt Patricia, I mean, good lord. The Patriots are going to smoke the Jets. Shouldn't be that close. Right? Like, well, it's not going to be as, much of a blowout as the Cowboys did, just because the Cowboys' offense is just better. But I think the Patriots are going to get a good win here. And, they should be 1-2. I mean, they were playing hard against really good competition. They should pull this one out. Bills and Commies, I mean, this is not a close game. The Commies are 2-0. That's a Mickey Mouse 2-0 right there. You played the Cardinals and the Broncos. First of all, they're both 0-2. Right? Second of all, they're not good teams. The Cardinals weren't projected to be a good team to enter the year, and the Broncos have just been so bad. The Bills should take this one easily. Defensively, they're probably going to allow like 24 points because Sam Howell has been playing decently well. Not really. I mean, the thing is, the Bills' defense is way better than what the Commies have faced so far, right? I mean, this should be an absolute skull crusher. The Bills should just blow them out of the water. They're a fraudulent 2-0 team. They shouldn't be getting the hype that they are. Texans, Jags. This is the Jags get right game, but the Texans are a feisty team. It's gonna be an interesting game. Not like a game that I would like to watch, but it's interesting. This is the Jags get right game. They looked really bad against Kansas City last week. While the Texans didn't look so bad themselves, but it was against the Colts. Not a great opponent. CJ Stroud had a really good game last week. And T-Law had a poor one. But the Jags, right now they're just looking to get back up. And the Texans' defense also doesn't look very good. So I'm pretty sure Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley and Travis Etienne are going to feed on that. And they should win this game pretty convincingly. I mean, it might be like the Indianapolis game, honestly. Speaking of Indianapolis, they play the Ravens this week. I'm going to have the Ravens winning and advancing to 3-0 on the season. And this Colts team has shown that they are a very, very feisty team. I really like what they have there. I mean, thing is, losing Anthony Richardson, it does hurt. I mean, he's just been looking so good. He is the future of this team, honestly. I really think that there is so much Super Bowl upside with him and Shane Steichen. I mean, good God, what a duo right there. For years to come, that's going to be so dangerous. The Colts have their guys. The Colts have their guys for the future. But against this Ravens team, right now with the state of the team, I mean, the matchup doesn't bode too well for them. I think they're going to drop another one to the Ravens. They should, fight hard, keep it close for at least a moment, but I don't think it's going to happen. The Ravens should take this one. Panthers at Seahawks. Again, I really like the Panthers to open up the year, but I mean, I don't know. This Panthers offense just hasn't looked good. This is just the Seahawks should win this one handily. Their offense is just gonna run away with this game, and the Panthers are just gonna be left in the dust. I mean, it's just not looking too good for them. I don't know, like Bryce Young hasn't been looking great. He's playing a pretty good secondary. At the very least, he's not going to get sacked this week because Seahawks D-line isn't great. So let's see what he can do with more time in the pocket. But those receivers against that secondary is going to be disgustingly bad for the Panthers. I mean, it's going to be awful. We'll see. We'll see, but I'm not too hopeful for the Panthers in this game, and they might fall to 0-3. And 0-3, like, I think the Panthers should rebound late in the season, but 0-3 is a tough start to have them being the division champions, like, I predicted earlier. Didn't release a video on that. I should have done that probably, but I didn't. Oh well. Bears at Chiefs. Listen, this is literally the worst team in the NFL against who should be the best team in the NFL. And I get the Chiefs didn't look, all that up to par last week. But the thing is, I like the outlook on the Chiefs, Like, we know what they are. We know what they've been, right? Two games, one without two of their top three players. And then the other one, just growing pains, I would say. I'm not gonna sweat on that. The Chiefs are still a really good team. And this is definitely a get-right game. Because guess who they're playing? They're playing the worst team in all of football. Watch the film. This team is worse than the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals have shown some fight. This team hasn't. This Bears team is just absolutely putrid. It is horrendous. Like, there's just nothing to be found there. There's no positives to take away. Their defense is just as horrible as everyone predicted. I would say I was right on the Bears, but I wasn't low enough. Nobody could have been low enough. This is pretty much an 0-17, 3-14 caliber team. I had this at 6-11, but this is worse than anyone could have anticipated for the Bears. Their offense just looks so anemic. Bad quarterback play, not using Justin Fields' legs, receivers showing no effort, bad O-line, horrible play calling. It is the worst of every single world. That offense is completely anemic. There is just nothing going on there. Nothing, no positives. It's a comedy of errors in Chicago. Chiefs should run away with this one. This is 45-3 or something like that. Cowboys at Cardinals. Oh my God. The Cardinals. It's been a good journey so far. Shown fight against some decent-ish teams, I guess. But this is where the story ends. This time they're facing a juggernaut. This is a real team. The Cardinals, good job. You showed some fight, but it's over now. This is where the Cardinals degrade into 0-17 form. Good God. What the Cowboys have done in these past 2 weeks, and again, I know they didn't play the best of competition. The Giants and Jets aren't really great. But, the Jets beat the Bills with Zach Wilson, right? And I get that Josh Allen just had a bad game, mainly. That's what it was. But still, the Jets' defense was a very, very good defense. That offense is clicking on every cylinder. Defense is just... that is an insane defense. That's a defense that nobody wants to play. And I'm definitely scared of that defense. Not so much of their offense. I think with a few players coming back, we might be able to handle that. But that defense is a monstrosity for opposing teams. And Josh Dobbs playing against that defense and that O-line and those weapons, it's going to be brutal. Brutal. Steelers-Raiders. Now, I don't get why this game is so close. This is really this is the Steelers. This shouldn't even be close. The Raiders aren't a good team. I don't know. People are being fooled, I guess, by, the Broncos winning and apparently them losing to, the win against the Broncos and the Steelers getting beat and, them having to rely on a Nick Chubb injury. No. I don't feel any different about the Steelers than I did before the season. This is still the same team I always thought they were going to be. And I don't feel any different about the Raiders either. They're trash. They're not a good football team. Their offense has looked better than they did last year. because Jimmy is apparently moving the ball better than Carr could. But I'm still not confident in this Raiders team. They still have no defense to be seen. Their offense is still not great. I'm not confident. I still have the Steelers and by a pretty good margin. Eagles, Bucks. Listen, I'm an Eagles fan. I get it. The Bucks are 2-0 too. They're not. I mean, again, they played 2-0-2 teams. And I get it, but the Bucks story is a little different than the Commanders. Because Baker Mayfield has been playing very, very well. I will say that. Not against great defenses. And definitely no great defensive lines in there at all. So, take it with a grain of salt. But Baker Mayfield's been playing well. And he plays an Eagles defense that's pretty depleted at linebacker and safety. The middle of the field is probably going to constantly be open again. So, just like it was against the Patriots and the Vikings. So, Baker might have himself a pretty good game, but this Eagles offense is too much to handle, right? Now, I like their defense. It's a feisty, good defense. But the Eagles should be looking to win this game. And that defensive line against the Bucs offensive line should be just murder. Should be horrendous. I mean, nobody's gonna want to watch it after the first quarter. That bad. I don't think. And the Eagles' run game, the run game has been looking great, and the run defense has also been looking pretty great. We've just been annihilating the run. And again, the Patriots were a run first team, so annihilating their run game was pretty nice, pretty impressive. Again, I think the status of this game for the Eagles, it's mostly going to depend on, number one, can we move the ball against a good Bucs defense? I think we can do that. And number two, can we stop Baker from making quick reads and throwing quick balls? And finally, and this is another tough game, Super Bowl 56 rematch, Rams, Bengals. This is tough, because I just depends on which Bengals team we see. You asked me to predict this a few weeks ago before the season started, and I would have said the Bengals should win by 50 points. I mean, I just didn't see anything in this Ram team, and I saw this Bengals team as the second best team in the entire conference. But that's not how things have shaken out after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, the Bengals just looked, something's off there. It's not the O-line. It's just the offense in general. And as for the Rams, they had a better 2 weeks than I could have possibly imagined. Yeah, you didn't beat San Francisco. There were a few mistakes here and there, but you looked good. They looked really, really good against the real opponent. I mean, so if there's a hard game to pick this week, the two hardest games, Chargers, Vikings, I mean, that one's just impossible. There's no right answers there. And then this game. I mean, we just don't know which version of the Bengals we're going to get. We just don't know. And the Rams, they played really well against the 49ers. Bengals, without their two, safeties from last year, their two star safeties, that might hurt them, especially against a receiver like Puka Nacua, who's been playing really, really well to start out the year, A no-name, I think 6th round draft pick. Not exactly sure, but he's been balling out. And him to the side of Cooper Kupp, and I get that Cooper Kupp isn't playing this week, but it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be dangerous. And Matt Stafford's been looking really, really good. I mean, he's just the same quarterback. Thing is, he wasn't healthy last year, and now he is healthy. And this is... I think that the Bengals have to be looking at this as, we're an AFC contender. I mean, guess what? We're down 2 games to the Ravens in the division right now. We're down to every team. They're the last team in the division right now. This isn't good. The Bengals have to be seeing this as a must-win game, and for that reason, I'll have them winning. This is a must-win game for Cincinnati. If they lose this one, especially with the Ravens playing the Colts, the Ravens might advance to 3-0 with a division win against the Bengals. So for the Bengals to lose this game would be literally worst case scenario. I mean, there's just no going around that fact. The Bengals have to win this game, and I think everybody in the organization knows that. There is extreme amounts of pressure on Cincinnati, and as tough as the Rams have looked, and as tough as they're probably going to be this game, they're a really scrappy team. They're looking really good. The Bengals have to pull this one out, and if they don't, then they're in danger. They're in real danger. I'm going to have this one 27-23 because the Rams are a tough team. I didn't predict the scores of all the other games because, total points scored. Makes sense to predict the score here. And yeah, that's going to be about it. With that, with a nice little concluding statement about the Cincinnati Bengals, I will just leave you right there. Have fun, guys. I don't know. Have fun with this week because this is going to be another good week. And try to watch the Chargers-Vikings game, okay? I'm going to tell you, that game's going to be really, really good. I'm just saying. Just take my word for it. All right, bye.